the truth profoundly. These are Germans here. For me to the message clear. Go Paul, Das, and Paul. They say Duane the writer leads the way. Time to madness, it's bright. Gotta wake up, see the light.
So when something new comes into your computer, sometimes you get a pop-up window that says, oh, you have a virus, or cannot, translate this item that that's come up, or whatever. You see, the computer pops that up, doesn't it? Pops up a little window, gives you a warning, or says, I cannot identify this, or what have you. And your mind, your personal mind, is the same way, because you've created a routine for it of things that are familiar. And so when you're having the dream experience, even though you see it, your awareness sees it, but your mind can't remember. Those are the different parts of your mind. And I know I've experienced that too many times. So what I do is I start to look over things in my life that are familiar to me, okay? And then many times, all of a sudden, it'll just kind of pop in. All of a sudden, there it is. Because parts of your real side experience or your dream are familiar to you. So in other words, this is how it is presented to you. It's a mix of something old, something new, you see? And new parts, your mind, again, it's like a computer. It runs on routine, so it doesn't really identify the new parts. So you have to, the real you kind of has to introduce this to the mind, and one of the ways to do that is to write it down, talk about it, etc. And as you do that, as you write it down and go through that process, it's like me when I write the books. When I write it down, all of a sudden you start to see things more, you see. So it's the real you having the experience, and then with the mind, and at the same time, the real you starts to recognize and realize more about itself and its personal self. See, so this is where you need the personal self to help you, the real you, recognize yourself. You see? So yeah, you're doing it. And so if you don't remember, look over what you do. I mean, sometimes it will totally blank it out from the mind, but I know that I experienced something, so I'll just kind of look. It's like kind of looking into the darkness, and you just kind of look, and all of a sudden, there it is. It just, the impression comes to you, something comes to you, and all of a sudden, it's like the whole view opens up, and it's like, oh, now I remember that. Now I realize that I had that experience, etc. And that's very common with everybody, because see, this is where it takes time. See, your personal mind, like Eric, thinks it knows everything. And this is actually where you block your real awareness, right? The very fact that you think you know everything, okay? And so again, this is why I gave it 50 years as a start, because it takes a long time to get through that personal self to where it backs off and listens, you see? And so, but in the meantime, you're going through a lot of stuff that's very new to your personal mind. And look at when you first started this. Look at when you started this, Phil, when we started together and you first started having your experiences. Now, I remember, I remember some of them, like one of the first ones you had where you saw the giant robots over the city, you were out in the ocean. I remember that. Turtles, I remember about those experiences. Yeah. And see, But to you, when you had that experience, even though you do remember it, you didn't know what the heck it was until I started to explain it to you. So little by little, as you've come along here, all of a sudden, see, now you're having experiences in the other worlds that even your personal mind is not conscious of, but you're having it to where little realizations come into you all the time. Little by little, you become more aware. So you're like the tree growing, you see, a little cell at a time. Look at these giant trees that are 30, 40, 50, 100 years old, you know, little at a time. You don't even notice them growing. And so again, yes, through this process, you're becoming more aware. So it's your personal self with your real self. But you know, you've taken on something here that's a lot more than you can even consider. And even all the things that you do consider in all your routines, you really don't even have a real recognition or realization of them. You just think you do. You convince yourself that you do. And so this is where it takes time to recognize that, how you've actually fooled yourself into thinking that you really do know something because things are happening in this world.
I like to call myself something. I am green around the gills. We used to call people in the trades when they're new and they think they know everything. But they're just beginning to scratch the surface.
Yeah, we call them all kinds of things. We start that, etc. And we got all these labels. But eventually, we start to see beyond the labels, like the sun shining. We are just awareness. And so actually, the less you do, the more you will see. Because as the mind keeps going and keeps convincing itself, well, then it's not interested in recognizing the real you because it's already created and it's already doing its thing. Well, the real you, that's why you're here. That's why you've got this body here, because the real you created it to help it recognize itself. But the personal self gets so routine, it's kind of like a car driving on its own, okay? In other words, you want to go to work, you go out there, you push the key to start the car. They got wireless car starting. All of a sudden, the car drives off. It's like, hey, wait for me. That's the mind. It just starts to take off, and the real you is trying to catch up with it because, hey, you need a ride. You need a ride to figure yourself out or get where you're going. And so this is why it takes millions of lifetimes to go through all this nonsense to finally get to the point where you have the opportunity where you start to realize, hey, there must be something more besides all this. And so here you are. And yes, there is. Absolutely. And most of the people don't see it because they're so routined, they can't let go of their self-convinced routine. Yeah. I
absolutely agree with you, Duane. Absolutely.
Yeah, and they don't see this. People think, oh, I'm aware. You know, I'm already aware. I'm already this or that, or I can see through the matrix and all these things.
You don't have to call me out like that.
Yeah, they keep convincing themselves that they know something, and they really don't, and they really won't know something until they listen and stop convincing themselves. Yeah, because there's a lot more. But again, as long as you want to keep convincing yourself, then you're on your own. Yeah, we all do it. I have to deal with my personal mind too. And it's a drag sometimes. Sometimes it's okay. Sometimes it's got little attitudes. I see that, and I got to deal with it. It's like a little child. You got to deal with it.
It's like,
and this personal self
deal with it.
Yeah, it's a funny thing. Yeah.
Truth profoundly freeze the Germans here. For me to the message clear. Go Paul dance and Paul. They say Duane the writer leads the way. Time to madness, it's bright. Gotta wake up, see the light. Don't think, just feel the vibe. As we drive, break the chains, the mental, hold the truth, unfold the story told. We strong, we unite front against the darkness. We will hunt time to break the simulation spell with new you power. We are skibbity new you, breaking free from the matrix. Dark forces lurking, reptilian scheme, that lies that control a twisted dream. You together we rise above, shattering the lies, spreading risky. I knew you staring at the thing to be done. Staring at the sun, the only thing to be done.